Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Stella Herself podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Thank you to all the Patreon members and everyone that has listened, follow the IG, all of that. Today's main topic, should we say, is something that I feel like a lot of the girlies need to hear, especially now that it's summer. First episode of June, y'all. And, a lot of us are going to be outside. If you're booed up, I know I've gotten questions in the past about being scared if your BF goes out without you. So I just want to talk all about that. And then also just the whole situation some of you may be in or have been in of why it's so hard to get over somebody that you know either doesn't like you back or disrespected you or something like that. So we're gonna tune right in to our feminine energy. We can tell so much based off of vibes and energy. And I know guys can do that too, but when the girly pops do it, that feminine energy, when you're just able to feel something, you need to lean into that. You know, when you first start talking to a guy, or maybe like the guy that always swipes up on your IG stories, you're like, okay, let me message him back, I'm bored, whatever. And just kind of the energy you have within yourself doing that, it's kind of like whatever, it doesn't really take up a lot of space in your mind. And the guy is complete opposite, like very persistent, keeps asking you out, keeps complimenting you. You never are thinking like, oh my god, is he gonna reply? You'll be out with your friends and then you happen to get a message and it's like, LOL, what should I say? In terms of just it being entertainment, but it's not this heavy emotional thing that you're like invested in or that is consuming you and your time and energy. So we all know what that feels like, right? It's just kind of light, fun. It's not really your focus. Have you ever been in a situation where it started off like this? And then maybe you decide to go on a date with him, you decide to hang out with him, whatever. And then he kind of grows on you and you're like, oh, I actually kind of like this guy. And as soon as you kind of make that decision, whether it's conscious or subconscious, the whole energy of the dynamic shifts. And suddenly you find yourself waiting on that text back. It's taking up way more space in your mind. And he kind of seems to be less interested and is just spending a little less energy than he was before. And everyone always talks about, oh, I missed the beginning, he treated me so well in the beginning, like I wish I could go back to that, that's like the best part of the relationship. The difference is that there was like an energetic exchange. So you kind of were like, oh, I kind of actually like him, so your vibes and actions change, like you're just checking up on him more. You want to show him that you like him and care, so you're doing things that like a girl would take as you like and care. And I'm talking about straight relationships because that is like my personal vibe. Happy Pride Month though. We should have started off with that. Happy Pride. Proud ally, y'all. Apply this however you want, because I think there also is something to be said of like masculine and feminine just energy just in each person, and it doesn't, like, in an ideal world it wouldn't matter your gender, but I think because of patriarchy, it's kind of like, but also just apply it to however you want, but just so you guys know, like, disclaimer and happy Pride. I was just having a conversation with someone and she was talking about how she likes to show guys that she is dating or interested in, show them love back, she put it, by paying for dinner or doing this for him, doing that for him. And I was like, baby, no, don't do that. Because, and I said this to her, I'm like, if you did that for me, like me and my friends will do that for each other. And we take it as like that, as love. I'm not like if my best friend picks up the tab, I'm not like I'll be like, oh my god, no, like, I got you, or like, oh, let's split it at least, like, that's my friend. A man wants to feel like a man, and this is like supported by society and also by patriarchy. So if you're trying to go against that by being the one to like, I'm gonna pay, I'm gonna show him, he's only benefiting from that, and you are only losing, because if you are paying, you are like rewarding him on top of all the rewards patriarchy already gives him. So what are you doing? That's like not how it works. I think a lot of guys, like if a guy likes that, that's kind of a red flag. And it's like, if you like that, go ahead, but like why would you want to be emotionally stressed out and then also like investing financially as a woman? Like, what? But a real man likes to provide, likes to take care of people. Like, I literally have a guy friend who we all met up for like drinks before going somewhere, and he was the only guy, but we were all his friends. It was like 4 girls and him, and he paid for everyone, and he like requested the Uber Black XL, you know, and it was just very seamless. And like, he was like, guys, I want to do this. We were all his friends, and he's still doing that. So the fact that there will be guys out here like dating you, married to you, sleeping with you, and be like, I didn't want to go 50-50 if she doesn't offer to pay. It's like, okay, obviously, no offense, like, you just didn't probably have like strong male role models in your life, like, no offense, but like, no woman is ever gonna truly respect you, I think, is like bottom line. Which is like, that's insane to say, but patriarchy backs it up. So it's really like, what you have to make it work for you, you know? And I was just talking about this on my TikTok, but obviously women are so capable, we can do things on our own, and I am not ever gonna be one to advocate for like being financially reliant on a man. Like, even if you're living with a man and he's paying all the bills, which he should be, you still need to be like doing something, whether that's doing something online, like starting your own business, like doing something to make your own money as well to fall back on. I think freedom is so important, and like personal freedom, and money allows you to have that, especially as a woman. It's so insane. Like, we think, you know, oh, if I have a boyfriend, if I have a husband, he's going to protect me from those other men out there. But your chances, trigger warning, of being hurt, abused, or unalived go up so much when you do have a boyfriend or when you do have a husband, because you're in that close proximity to a man. And that's like also kind of scary. So you do not want to be financially reliant on a man. But if a man is going to be in your life, he needs to be making himself useful financially, because like, if you want to believe in true love and all that stuff, like, I mean, that's great, whatevs, but it's still like, that's a man. Okay, I've been talking a lot on TikTok recently about marriage and just the whole idea of like, oh, by a certain age you need to be settled down, you need to have kids, and like, you're a failure, or like something's wrong with you if you don't. Like, for men and women, I think especially for women though, but people will still look at a man weird if he's still single after a certain age. And it's, side note, just very interesting. As you know, I'm getting older and more of my immediate peers are like turning 30 and like, you know, in their 30s, which I'm not there yet, okay? Let's not rush it. But the amount of men who like want to get married and like want to have kids, and I think a lot of that, like, it's like, oh, how sweet, but it's like, no, like, I think a lot of that is just external pressure, and you feel like you should be doing something, which that's not wrong to want a family and kids, obviously, but I think doing it because you actually feel ready and want to, like, truly within yourself, and not like, oh, I'm like frantically like, oh my god, I have to do this because all my friends are doing it, or because I'm this age, or whatever, or my mom wants me to, you know. Men also benefit so much from marriage, which is so ironic, since there's the whole ball and chain theory, like, oh, my bitch wife, like, she's holding me back, she's such a nag. But it's like, men are the ones that benefit from marriage. Men don't have the horrible side effects of childbirth. Like, men, obviously a man would want kids. Like, imagine you get a mini version of you and you don't have to get pregnant, be pregnant for 9 months, have to go through depression, have your hormones all over the place, be the main one that has to take care of the child, which obviously all of that can be a beautiful thing. And so many women say it's so worth it. They love their kids, but it's just like, yeah, obviously men are going to want that, you know, like, they don't really have to put in that work. Anyway, just on TikTok, I've been talking about just that realization that nothing really bad is going to happen if you don't decide to do that. And the book I was talking about a couple months ago, it's called In Defense of Witches by Mona, I think her last name is Chalet. She's a French author. I'll link the book down below, but I thought it was going to be more specifically about like witches, and I'm honestly so glad it wasn't. It was so interesting and just really talked about these ideas and, you know, women that choose to, you know, kind of like the archetype of a witch, like, oh, this woman who lives alone, maybe she has a cat, like, oh my God, and how that's just like, oh my God, this horrific thing, and it's been painted throughout history as like this evil, like bad, like ugly thing, like what an ugly, horrible old woman. But it's really like, okay, if you live alone and like are doing your own thing, don't have kids, don't have a husband, it's like your time is your own. You can do whatever you want. You're actually probably gonna like look better because you don't have that stress, which, no offense, you know, obviously you can look at it and have all that, obviously. But just like this extreme example, because they want to scare us into like, oh my God, well, I have to do that. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be ugly. And it's like, you know how many women feel alone in their relationships, in their marriages? And like, this is another thing. And we're kind of like getting off topic here. It's like, I mean, it's all connected, but another thing, that book, In Defense of Witches, has this really amazing paragraph that's like, oh, I forget, it was like a reference to something else, like another book or like someone else speaking, another woman speaking, but she was like, oh, I was always so scared to walk into a room and be the only woman without a husband or without a family. And then I had to think about all these women with their husbands and their kids wishing that they were me. Because the grass is always greener on the other side, you know? Like, regardless of anything. If we look like this, sometimes we want to look like this. If we look like that, sometimes we want to look like this. Like, you know, we always kind of want what we can't have. Men benefit so much from marriage. They have someone who cooks for them, you know, historically speaking, in an average marriage. They have someone who cooks for them, cleans for them, takes care of their kids, actually raises their kids. A lot of the times still pays half the bills. Like, you have a live-in maid, chef, nanny, roommate, someone who probably feels obligated to sleep with you. Obviously, you're going to want that. And most marriages end, 50% of marriages end in divorce, and most of those divorces are initiated by women. And it's also, this is like my favorite fact, unmarried, single, child-free women are the happiest subgroup, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it, you know? Like, think about when you're hanging with your girlies that you can just really open up to. If you have a little group of girlies or just, you know, several girlies, that's like the best. Like, there is nothing like female friendship, and we just are so much more emotionally intelligent. We can collaborate easily with others. We don't have that, you know, testosterone ego, and like, we can just accomplish so much on our own. And I mean, again, guys, obviously there's exceptions to everything. But it just makes sense to me why that is the case. And so I'm not advocating, I mean, like, low-key I am, but like, I'm not advocating for you not to like start a family if that's what you want, or to like seek a husband, but I think it's really important to reflect on why you want those things and your values and what's important to you, and not rush into something like that. Like, even a relationship, you know, because men can just be so draining. Even if it's a great guy, you know, that's still gonna take energy away from yourself, and your relationship with yourself is the most important thing. And then a lot of these guys, you know, are very emotionally immature. They expect so much from a woman and like kind of play these little tricks and games on you to get you emotionally hooked in, so they can just take and take and take from you. And that's so much emotional energy, physical energy even, that you could be putting into yourself, your goals, your dreams, and your life. I feel like especially kids, that's such a huge commitment and investment. Like, marriage, I feel like it's probably a hassle to get divorced at the very least, you know, but like didn't Kim Kardashian say this? She's like, I feel like kids are like so permanent. Like, marriage is like whatever, you can get divorced. Like, obviously that's like annoying and like probably devastating in a lot of, I don't know. But the fact that, don't rush to have kids, y'all. I just think it's so interesting, all the posts on social media of these girls being delusional. Like, I can't wait. This is my last summer out. My future husband's out there. By next summer, I'll be wifed up. And like, I can't wait for my 6 kids and husband. Because it's also like, your life doesn't just end. Happily ever after does not exist. Just even, not even in a pessimistic way, but just like, if you're married to someone, that is someone you're going to be around a lot. And people change as they go through life. And you're going to have to communicate, learn how to communicate. You're going to get on each other's nerves. At the very least, you know, especially if you have kids, that's going to change the dynamic so much. The dynamic is going to change as the kids grow up. It's not like, oh, I finally got married and that's it, and the rest of my life is perfect. I think that probably actually complicates things a lot, especially also having kids. I've been watching Desperate Housewives. I think watched up to season 4 back in the day, but I never finished it. And so I'm on season 5 now, and it's just been so interesting to rewatch it and then like continue watching it. I think especially now from an adult perspective. And I mean, obviously it's kind of like a soap opera. A lot of it's like dramatic and like, you know, but they do deal with a lot of real issues, especially when it comes to dynamics in relationships and marriages. And, you know, your husband might have a midlife crisis. What are you going to do then? Like, it's not happily ever after. And we're fed, I think, as women, this fantasy of happily ever after. And it's like, okay, but you're gonna be exhausted. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to have a baby with this man. It's like, okay, you really, really have to choose wisely. Because, like, oh my god, I just feel so bad for all the girls and women that have kids with a man because they think it's gonna change the man or make the man want to be with the girl, or, you know? Because I feel like, if anything, that's just gonna bring out more of who someone really is. Like, people will be mad when their friend says no to their birthday dinner. Like, imagine, like, you have a baby with a man that has already shown you he doesn't like you, like, and you're gonna, like, think that's a good choice, you know? It's just sad, because that's, like, why generational trauma exists, is people just keep having kids. And I'm not saying don't have kids, you know? But I'm just saying, choose wisely. If anything, choose wisely for your children. Like, oh my god. As a woman, it's very important to be super, super invested in yourself. And this ties into why can't I get over him? Because, again, we're kind of fed this fantasy. Oh, I want happily ever after. I want the picket fence and the husband and kids and the American dream, da-da-da. And men aren't fed that same fantasy, you know? Like, yeah, a lot of men feel like they want to settle down, but it's not, like, the same... Like, men don't have princess movies like we do. Like, they have, like, yeah, like, I'm a man if I make a lot of money and get a lot of girls and, like, have a nice car, like, you know? And so, it's very easy for women to fall in love with what they hear because men are able to twist their words and make it seem like we are entering this relationship with him of the perfect fantasy. It's a lot of lies and manipulation. And women will get very emotionally invested, and that's why it's so hard to end things or to move on. So back to what I was saying at the beginning of, like, that feeling of when, you know, someone likes you more than you like them, like a guy. And then the feeling of when you like them more. And it's almost like this desperation or like this scrambling, like frantic energy. Like, what's he doing? When's he going to text me back? Like, da-da-da. And none of that energy is focused on you. When a man doesn't truly even just like you, regardless of love, or, you know, if a man doesn't truly value you, you will be in that state of frantic confusion. Things will not be clear. You know when a guy really likes you. You know. You don't need to ask your friends for advice. You don't need to ask even the Stella podcast for advice. You know. Because you just know. And you don't feel that desperation. And the energy's not all over the place. It's just like, oh, he messaged me. Cool, whatever. It's like, I'll get back to that. And then, like, a few hours go by and you're just so engrossed in your own life that you don't even really notice. If you find yourself having to make excuses for him or explain a situation to your friends when they ask you about it, he doesn't like you. If you're like, oh, but no, he doesn't like you. Because when a guy likes you, you know. If he doesn't like you, like a lot of guys, they act like they like you just enough to keep you around because you're useful to them. Whether it's for sleeping with them, whether it's like you look good, so it's kind of a flex to have you around. Maybe you cook for him. Maybe you're being, as Shira7 would say, a pig. Oh, well, he must still like me because he still, like, calls me sometimes or texts me or, like, he wanted to see me. yeah, because if he didn't do any of those things, like, obviously you would be like, yeah, he doesn't like me, but he needs to, like, just do a little bit. And y'all need to just have the abundance mindset. Like, there's so many guys out here, it's like an unlimited amount. So stop getting so hung up on a guy, especially one that is causing you confusion and wasting your energy. Like, oh my god, but I like him so much. It's like, he doesn't feel that way about you. So what does that say about you? Are you not embarrassed? You know, you need to kind of start, like, shaming yourself a little. Self-compassion obs, but especially when it comes to, like, oh my god, it's so hard to just not text them back right away. It's like, babes, come on. So I've been putting a lot of these sprinkle tips to use. And I want to give you guys a little story time of something that happened recently that was a perfect example of how when you act like the prize, it will weed out the ones that were just going to use you. So basically, my friend and I went to this birthday, and my friend was like, oh, there's a guy here I want you to meet. Like, I think you might like him. So it was kind of like a thing. Like, I don't, because I like, did not honestly really care, you know, but I was just like, okay, this might be interesting. But like, his friends were like, oh my god, like, did you meet my bro yet? Like, oh my god, like, let's get him over here. So I think it's important to use the sprinkle tips, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you some examples. Basically, it's important to act like the prize in any situation, because that's how you build confidence, and that's what confidence is about. And it's not about thinking you're better than anyone, but it's like, okay, I want my life to be a good time, so I'm not going to lower my self-value or confidence just because it might make someone else uncomfortable. It's not like that I think I'm better than anybody else, but it's like, I value myself. Anyway, so this guy comes over and he's obviously, like, very excited to meet me. So he kind of starts out super, like, I don't want to say love bomby because it was like a conversation. Like, I feel like love bombing refers to more so a period of time. But it's like, if we're just going to kind of describe this first little part of the conversation, it would kind of be that. Like, he was very, acting very into me. Oh my god, like, da-da-da. And then, and I'm just, like, peeping all of this. It was just so interesting because I felt like I was just observing this. Like, I wasn't like, ooh, let's see. Like, I was just like, if you know what I mean. So then, because now I know the game. So then, he smoothly transitions to the asking me questions about my past, such as, he literally asked me this was great. He's like, what are your exes like? What kind of guys are you into? And I'm peeping this. I'm not like, oh my god, like, what should I say? Like, should I be honest? Like, what? I just have Shira 7's videos as a script in my mind. And I'm like, my ex? Why would I want to talk about my ex? And then I was like, what about your ex? When you're in one of these conversations and you kind of peep that someone is, like, trying their little strategies on you, you don't call them out on it. Like, it's so much more just classy, period. And then you just get way more information when you, on the surface, are calm, cool, collected, sweet, and feminine. So you don't, in this situation, like, I know what why would you ask me that? Like, I know what you're doing. Like, you're just trying to figure out what kind of girl I am. But, like, no, you say, my ex? Why would I want to talk about my ex? And I was like, what about your ex? Another classic. He's like, fuck that bitch. She's crazy. I was like, oh. I was like, oh my god. And then he's like, yeah, but she was a supermodel. Like, she was a real supermodel. And then he said something else after that. I forget what it was, but it prompted me to say, well, I mean, look at me, though. Like, I was like, because he brought that up to try to make me insecure so that I would feel like I would have to prove myself to him. But I didn't take it. I was just like, baby. Very smoothly and confidently. And he kind of stumbled. He's like, oh, well, I mean, you're right. Like, I don't know why I would say that. And I was like, oh, and then when he was asking me what kind of guys I liked, this is another Shira 7 quote. I was like, I don't know, but I always know it when I see it. And I have to also say, he started kind of going off, like, he's like, wow, like, you just say all the right things. Like, oh my god, like, yeah. So then I'm like, let's take a shot. Like, I'm bored. So me, my friend, him and his friend go to take a shot. And he's getting the cups, because we're, like, at a, like, house birthday thing. and we're inside, and the drink kind of, there was like bottles inside, but the whole drink making station was outside, which is all the way outside. And this was in the, oh my god, y'all, I'm just too on point. He turns to me, he's like, will you go get the limes? This is the thing. I think especially at this stage of my life, I am very used to being around men that just will go above and beyond in even the small tasks such as that. And I'm only going to really like spend time and energy with guys like that because that's what a man should be doing. And it shows that, you know, they first of all have manners and that like they're a good person, and also that just they value you and your feminine presence. You're a man, act like one. So I'm peeping this. He wants me to go all the way outside. Obviously, y'all, I'm not some little like If this was my friend telling me to do that, I'd be like, no problem, sis. I got you. But I mean, even friends sometimes will just ask little like weird things for you to do just to see if you'll do it, you know? So you gotta be on point. But it's like, you know what I mean? So I immediately peeped this, and I'm like, again, you gotta act feminine and like sweet and not like get mad. So I was just like, will you go get them? And he gave me this look of like annoyance, but then he went and got them. And then there was like one point I needed like a paper towel, and I was like, will you go get me a paper towel? And he got it. Period. So then we take the shot, and he kind of like goes away. So I'm like, thank God my tips and tricks came in handy, because he saw I was not gonna fall for his bullshit. I'm not gonna be insecure and start trying to prove myself to you, you know? And this is why it's so important that you be super duper aware of these little things, because everything was very subtle. And on the surface, you know, oh, he's showing interest in me. He's telling me like, oh my God, like, no, they will do these little teeny tiny tricks, especially at the beginning. Mind you, this was like all within the first hour or so of us even meeting, because they want to see what they can get away with. And especially if a man starts asking you about your exes right away, no man wants to hear about that, actually. You know, like, they don't. They're trying to figure out your vibe. Because if you're saying, oh, my ex was a piece of shit, it's like, oh, so she will be with a piece of shit. She doesn't have very, like, high standards or high self-esteem. I probably would be able to get away with a lot, you know? So, just a little story time. But that was just a really great feeling to be able to peep all of this so effortlessly and then have it work out in my favor of he won't even look at me at the end of it. And the whole time I'm sweet. I'm not being confrontational. I'm just standing strong within myself in a, you know, externally sweet and feminine way. And it works. And it's just such a, like, better use of energy. Because if you get mad, that's like a waste of your energy, because why would you even, like, care to get mad at someone like that? It's not really worth it. And then if you're falling for the bullshit, no offense, I'm not going to waste my energy going to fetch your limes for you. Like, what the hell? Like, do I look? Which, again, obviously if a friend asked me to do that, it's NBD, but it's like he was just trying to see if I would do it. I was like, I don't want to prove myself to you because I don't like you, so I don't care. Can you go get the limes? And he did. But he was like pissed. So peeping these little tips and tricks will save you a lot of time, weed out the dusties, and you won't get in a situation, capital S, you know, you're less likely to. So stay strong. So yeah, the goal of the week, y'all, or goal of the weekend, I don't know what y'all are doing this weekend, but if you're going out, make sure you peep the vibes. And if you are trying to get over someone, or you're like, oh my God, I think I'm too emotionally invested, then you need to focus all of that energy back on yourself. Maybe pick up a new hobby, go to the gym more. Every time you feel like that thirsty desperation energy, just go to the gym. Go on a little walk. Do a yoga video. Do an ab workout. Wash the dishes, bitch. Like, there's so much to do every day. You can't be wasting your energy on someone that doesn't even like you back at all. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm just sick of seeing this. Like, invest in yourself. So that is going to be it for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to IG story me a screenshot of you listening. Join the Patreon if you're not already. And I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, everyone.